Hello everybody, my name is Zool, and welcome to my introductory series on how to install mods for Fallout 3. In today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to install Fallout Wanderers Edition, Mart's Mutant Mod, how to get Paradox Ignition the mergers working with Mart's Mutant Mod, and how to install the Blackened compatibility patches. This video is updated to October of 2014. If you'd like to know the features of these mods, just rest assured that they are a very large overhaul of the game. FWE changes everything, makes the game more survival oriented, makes it a lot harder, and honestly is one of the essential mods that I would not play the game without. Mart's Mutant Mod, on the other hand, it changes the way the mutants work and adds a variety of new creatures and some other exciting things to the game. You can go ahead and check out the mod pages or another video. These mods have been covered to death. Today I'm just going to be showing you how to install them, updated to 2014, since there's been a lot of problems with people trying to mod this game recently due to a lot of the changes that have been happening on the landscape of modding. Without taking up too much of your time though, I'm going to get right into the video, so let's get started talking about how to mod Fallout 3. Installation Part 1, Fallout Wanderers Edition. Alright, so we're going to be installing FWE, or Fallout Wanderers Edition. I don't care what videos you've seen online or what tutorials you've read, follow my instructions to receive the least amount of errors and to maximize your game's functional performance. Head over to the Files section on the FWE Nexus page, link is in the description. Scroll down, you're going to see there's 3 main files and an optional file, as well as a couple of other things. Manually download the 3 main files. So I don't care what other tutorials you've seen, download all 3 of these manually. Even if you're using Nexus Mod Manager, just download them manually. If you plan on using Darnified UI, you can download this optional file with Manager and you won't get any problems. Alright, so I have all 3 of those manually downloaded files right here. What you need to do next is to extract them using a tool like winrar or 7z. Now this will take a little bit of time, so I'm going to skip ahead, but if you don't know how to do this, there should be an annotation here at some point or a link in the description that should take you to a video where I show you how to use these extracting programs. Alright, now I've extracted FWE Master Release Part 1, Part 2, and the hotfix. The next thing I'm going to do is create a new folder on my desktop, which I am going to call FWE. I am then going to open up this empty folder and move it off to one side. Then, starting with Part 1, open it up, click on something, press Ctrl A or select everything, it's really simple, drag and drop into the FWE folder. Follow this by installing Part 2. So again, select everything, drag and drop. If it asks you to merge anything, click yes, and if it asks you to overwrite, click move and replace. Finally, we're going to use the hotfix. Open up this folder and select everything once again. You're going to drag and drop into this folder. Check off do this for the next 10 conflicts and move and replace, and again, click yes to merge. Now the reason we made a new folder is just because I like the naming scheme here better of the folder, because I will know that this is the completed mod, and you could easily build it inside the Part 1 mod, but I'm just going to do it this way. After that, close this, right click, and add to archive using 7z or winrar. Go ahead and click OK, and then give it a little bit of time to compress this into a new archive. After we've created a new FWE archive, we can delete this folder, we're not going to need it anymore, and launch Nexus Mod Manager. I have another video on Nexus Mod Manager, so if you want to learn a little bit more information about that, you can go ahead to my channel and check that one out. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and do this. Click right here to add a mod from file and select our new fwe.rar. You can use a 7z file as well, it doesn't really matter. And then just give it a little bit of time to add this mod into the Nexus Mod Manager. After this is done, you can change the name or really do whatever you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and activate it right now. Okay, now I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the FWE scripted installer. First things first are the core components. You're going to need all of these, so do not uncheck any of them or else your game's going to crash when you start. Next up are the DLC compatibility patches. I'd recommend checking these all off unless you for some reason don't have the pit, in which case you have to uncheck the pit. That being said, however, this tutorial does assume you have all the DLCs because I am going to be talking about mods later on in the tutorial series and even later on in this video with our compatibility patches that require all the DLC. DLC, so it's honestly worth just getting if you're planning on modding this game. The DLC is great anyway, so you might as well pick it up. Next up are the optional plugins. First and foremost, Followers Enhanced. If you want to use the Followers Enhanced plugin and you have broken steel, check off this one. If not, just check off the other one. Finally, the optional plugins down here. First, alternate travel. This adds a motorcycle in front of Megaton, which you can use for fast traveling. It's great, and I really recommend that you use it. It's a great fast travel system that keeps the game going, but it still keeps it balanced. Next up is the Restore Tracers option. This adds tracers back to the bullets, making the game a little bit easier. I personally don't use this. You can also add tracers back to automatic weapons. Again, I don't use this. Next up is the VATS halftime. This makes it so VATS doesn't pause time, but only makes things half time. So use this if you kind of want to use a little bit of VATS and you don't want it to be so overpowered. Finally, you can also select VATS real time, which allows the VATS animations to play in real time. I don't use any of these bottom four. I do use alternate travel. I do use the Followers Enhanced Broken Steel plugin. So if you have everything like this, you should be good to click install. This is going to take quite a while, however, and it might ask you to overwrite stuff depending on what other mods you have installed, but if it does, go ahead and click yes to all. We're going to deal with that later. Part 2, Mart's Mutant Mod. Alright, so now we're going to install Mart's Mutant Mod, or MMM. Now this installation is also different than things you might have seen before because of the new Paradox Ignition Presents the Mergers files. So here's what we're going to do. First and foremost, head over to the Files section for Mart's Mutant Mod and download the FOMod Ready version manually. You're actually not going to need the update because we're going to go over to the Paradox Ignition Presents the Mergers page, which is also in the description. Head over to the File section here, scroll down, find Mart's Mutant Mod, and download this file manually as well. Now, what Paradox Ignition does is it merges a bunch of the ESPs and ESMs in certain mods into a single file. And they do this for a variety of reasons. Sometimes they'll fix a couple of bugs, but most importantly, they reduce the number of files in your load order, and this improves the game stability. Now you can kind of scroll down here and read a little bit more about it, but basically it's going to take all of these here things and replace them with a single file. And this is ideal because it'll improve a lot of things in your game. So I've actually already downloaded both Mart's Mutant Mod and the merged patch. So let's just get FWE out of the way and start here. So first and foremost, we're going to install Mart's Mutant Mod. Now to do this, we just need to add the mod from File into the Mod Manager. So just go right here, click Open, and it'll take a little while and it'll add this into your Mod Manager. Now, if you're wondering why we don't use the update, we can actually go ahead and extract the Mart's Mutant Mod merged onto our desktop, so I can quickly explain this to you, just in case you're wondering. Inside, you will find an ESM and a list of the plugins that are replaced. The update only replaces these two, and I believe it also replaces Zeta, but you're going to end up replacing these anyway, so there's no point in downloading it, because that's just going to waste your bandwidth. After that, just go ahead and click Activate for Mart's Mutant Mod. This will take a little while to prepare the mod, so I'm just going to cut ahead until that's done. Alright, once the thing finally is finished preparing, you will get this scripted installer. We're going to select the in-game configuration menu, click Next, make sure that all the DLC is appropriately selected. Ignore selecting any of these global options right now because that's going to cause us some problems later, so just leave these blank for now. They can be configured in-game if need be. After that, hit Finish, and it will install the mod. When it asks you if you'd like to overwrite something from FWE, go ahead and click Yes to all, because we are going to be using some compatibility patches later. Once that's done, we're good to go. Now, click this button here in your Nexus Mod Manager to open the Games folder. In the Games folder, we are going to want to open up the Data folder. And then we're going to open up the merged Mart's Mutant Mod file and open up the pluginslist.txt. In here, we're going to see a list of plugins that we're going to need to get rid of. So, first thing I'm going to do is select Mart's Mutant Mod. As we can see, Anchorage, the Pit, Broken Steel, and Zeta. So all of the DLC need to be replaced. As well, it also asks us to replace the ESM and the ESP. If you're wondering how I'm doing this, I'm clicking Control while selecting these things. And finally, the menu module. So let's just count these out to double check that we have the correct number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8. So you can just go ahead and delete these. We are not going to need them. You'll see that we still do have the natural selection, tougher shaders, and respawn zones in here, and that's because they are configurable in-game. They get downloaded regardless of whether or not you select them. So just leave those where they are. Alright, so now that we've removed those files, we're going to have to restart our Nexus Mod Manager, because right now it still thinks that those files are there. So just start it up once again, give it a few moments for it to load, and then you'll see that we don't have the Mart's Mutant mod files there, which were there before. And we still have this installed. After that, we can see, we can press the Add Mod from File section once again, this time adding the Mart's Mutant mod merged. This is what you got from the Paradox Ignition site. Just go ahead and get that, and click Activate. The mod will be successfully installed, and if you head over to Plugins, we should see martsmutantmod.esm. So the reason we're doing this is just so we can remove things a bit easier, but the plugin does actually go with these, so if you uninstall one, you'll need the other. So next up, we have to worry about our compatibility patches. Part 3, Compatibility. So in this video series, we are going to be using the Blackened compatibility patches. These are the best compatibility patches to use for Fallout 3, as they are being updated even now in 2014. At the time of making this video, there was actually an update only 9 days ago, which is really impressive. The Blackened patches do require to use the Paradox Ignition, the Mergers version of mods, so that's why we went through all the trouble of installing the Mart's Mutant mod version there. So head on to the Blackened page on the Nexus and go to the File section. Since the only two mods we have installed right now are FWE and MMM, this is the compatibility patch we're going to download. However, if you'd like to continue through this series and download Eve or Project Beauty, you will need the appropriate compatibility patch. But I am only going to be covering these two mods in this episode, so let's download the Blackened patch for this. Keep in mind, these do require all of the DLC, as I've mentioned earlier. So if you don't have all the DLC, you're going to need to go ahead and buy it if you would like this patch to work. It's honestly worth it. The DLC, at this point, you can get it for really cheap, so, you know. So just go ahead and download with Manager. It'll take a little while, but not that long at all, as you can see. Pretty much just the time for me to switch pages. And then activate this mod. This will install a compatibility patch between FWE and Mart's Mutant mod. I'm also just going to activate the FWE support for Darnified UI, a mod that I've used and covered in some of my other videos on this channel, and I'm going to overwrite that. Then all you need to do is use your load order tool of choice, like Boss or something like that, to get your plugins in the correct order. If you're unsure, there is plugin information on some of the pages here. I believe that Wander's Edition has some plugin information down here. Yeah, right here. So you can sort of see about where the ESMs should go on the FWE Master Release page. One final thing I'd always recommend that you do, no matter which version of the Blackened patch you're using, is to check out its readme information just to confirm your load order one last time. To do this, just right-click on it in your Nexus Mod Manager and select Open the readme file. This should open up the readme here, and you can just scroll down and there'll be a load order information section, which should tell you about the general order that it's going to be in. Now again, Boss or Loot or whatever load order tool of choice will probably get it right, but it's always good to double check because this will make sure you have maximum compatibility and minimum bugs. So after this, you can actually go ahead and launch the game, and it will be functional with both of these mods. If you get a crash immediately on pressing the alternate start, you're going to want to check out my other video on how to fix the crashes in this game. I believe it's called the Fallout 3 Multi-Core Crash Fix, so go ahead and check that out. Otherwise, please check out the rest of my Introduction to Modding Fallout 3 series. I'm going to be trying to update it over the next few weeks, so look forward to a brand new playlist. But for the most part, you should be able to continue following through with the old parts, and I'll be updating them as they go, so keep a lookout for that in the channel. Other than that, please consider subscribing to my channel. It would mean the world to me. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I would like to remind you that I have been Zool. Have an excellent day.